You're listening to Cash and Sass. I'm Lisa Marie, your go-to gal for all things money. As the Sassy Wealth Queen and the brains behind the Sassy Wealth Coach, I'm here to take you on a thrilling ride from the financial chaos to sassy and sexy money. Welcome back, my sassy friend, to another episode of Cash and Sass. I'm Lisa Marie, the Sassy Wealth Queen, the brains behind this podcast, and of course, the Sassy Wealth Coach. And I am so excited today because I get to talk to my friend, Brian McNeill, who's just a hop, skip, and a jump over on a city. Not far at all. Decided we're going to have to meet in person.
Amen.
Brian McNeill, he is the sales confidence coach. And Brian is a dynamic sales confidence coach and best-selling author with a reputation for transforming sales teams and boosting individual performance. Raised in Brooklyn, New York, and now based in Charlotte, North Carolina, Brian brings the discipline and drive of a U.S. Army airborne veteran to his work. As a professional speaker and corporate sales trainer, he is known for his high-energy, fun, and actionable workshops that inspire lasting confidence and immediate results. He has authored 7 books, including the Amazon bestseller Mastering Sales Language, Eliminate These 21 Harmful Phrases, and Embrace Words That Sell. Brian's expertise lies in helping clients uncover their potential and achieve success, even when failure isn't an option. When not coaching, he enjoys his cigars, chess, and traveling with his wife, who's Lisa San Diego McNeill. I didn't know that part. You know what? I think I did because we did talk about that. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'm super excited. We're gonna, of course, as everyone knows, we're gonna talk about money. That's what Cash and Sass is about. Nothing is off the table, but we're gonna talk about how it's essential for entrepreneurs, business people, salespeople to know what's going on with their money, know their numbers, save their money, and manage their money. So Brian, tell me how it is you know these things, because you told me you know what happens when you don't do this. So share just a little bit of your story.
Well, I thank you very much for a great introduction, and I'm happy to be talking with my friend Lisa Marie again.
I know, right?
Yes, but let me tell you this: when we talk about what we're talking about, sister, I know about it. When I was a young man, 27 years old, I was making about $1,500 a week. Okay, every week, $1,500, and I was broke every Thursday. Okay, needed that new check on Friday, broke every time. The blessing and the curse was I was in sales, and I felt like if I ever had a deficit financially, if I ever needed any more money financially, I could just go make more sales. That's it. I'll just hustle a little bit harder to make a little bit extra money. That's the blessing and the curse, because what it taught me was I don't have to save any money. I could just make more. Like there's more money all around. It grew on trees for me until life started to teach me some lessons. We can never live on our reserves as long as we think, and even less time if you don't have any reserves. I was so smart that I was dumb when it came to money. Oh my gosh. At one point, I decided, you know what? I'm going to hire me a financial advisor. And what I did was I researched all about how to manage money and how to use a financial advisor. And then when I met with the guy, I started telling him all the stuff. I look, I want to buy some stock and the stuff that I use and the supermarkets I use, the gas I want to use. And he asked me very smart questions. He says, okay, great, Brian. How much money do you have saved? And I didn't have a good answer. He goes, how much insurance do you have? And then I didn't have a good answer. He asked me a couple more basic questions. He goes, you know what, Brian? Let's take care of these basic things first, and we'll work on the sexy stuff later. So what happened was I never figured out money until I got with a financial coach that I respect. It took the financial coach to teach me and my wife the value of saving some of every money. And whether we sell a $20 book or a $5,000 program or a $20,000 program, we're saving some of all of those monies. And what happened, and he's rougher too. He said stuff like, excuse me for a second. He said stuff like, financial emergencies are for broke people. Ouch! If you had a financial emergency, that's a broke person's mission. You should not have financial emergencies because you should learn to be smart with your money. And what he's taught me in that way has helped me to be profitable for a while now. Yeah.
Well, and what I say is if we plan and prepare, then it's not necessarily an emergency, right?
Yeah.
Because if we plan and prepare, then they're not considered emergencies, right? Because we took into account, oh, we know we have fur babies. We know that, at some point in time that we know they have to go to the vet. We know that at some point in time they
Yep.
may have an emergency. Okay, so we know approximately how much it would cost. And I'm using this as an example because it's the first thing that come up to my head. I have two fur babies. One's a husky and one's a lab, so trust me, I know.
Big ones.
And the first time I took my lab to the emergency vet, for me, it was an emergency because I didn't plan and prepare at that time. This was before I started my business. And that was a lesson because it was like $400 or $500, and that's on the small side compared to what some can be. However, we knew going now I know, okay, what the minimum is going to be, what the range is going to be. And now I can plan for it. So now
Mhm.
I have a savings account specifically for that, for fur. It's called fur babies, y'all. Fur babies, and money goes into it for their vet visits, for their heartworm pills, and for an emergency vet visit if one comes about. That money is allocated just for that and only that, and money goes in there each month for that. And so I love that concept because when it becomes an emergency is when we're not planning for it
Yep.
and we just spend our money frivolously. And I also love the way you say money.
Money.
I love it. I love it.
Well,
I love it.
pet
It just
insurance was like some of the smartest money we ever spent. Um,
Well, and here's the thing is I like the way he said, let's work on the basics and then work on the sexy stuff.
yep.
Because I'm a wealth coach. I'm not a
Mhm.
financial advisor. There's two different things. I am not licensed to do the insurance or the investing, and I don't want to. I have great ones on my list that I'll refer people to. However, I'm a wealth coach and I can help you set up your money roadmap, budget, whatever you want to call it, and help show you basically doing the basics before you go and do that sexy stuff. And some of the sexy stuff I do is like showing you how you can plan for these trips and vacations
Mhm.
and, take care of yourself now, right?
Mhm.
And I tell my clients the same thing. Let's get the basic part. You need the basics before you can work on the sexy stuff. And a lot of times we want to skip the basics. We
Yep.
don't want to do a deep dive into how we're spending our money. We don't want to do a deep dive into where there could be money leaks. We just want to skip to the sexy stuff. And then we get upset when that stuff doesn't work. Well, that stuff doesn't work because you don't know the basics.
Yep.
And so I love that he told you that because I'm like, yes, yes, more people need to be told, know your number. You have to. You can't even begin to know the sexy and sassy stuff and look, y'all know I am all about some sassy and sexy numbers. I'm all about some sassy and sexy money. I say money is sassy and sexy, but you cannot get there until you know the basics. Um, how did that affect your mindset when you didn't like when you realized you weren't good? That you were like, holy crap, I'm being. I don't want to call yourself dumb because a lot of times we don't know what we don't know, and we do some dumb things because we're human. But
That's
how did that
exactly
affect
what it
your
did.
mindset?
It made me think, oh, shoot, I've been dumb for a while. Okay. Oh, shoot, I'm finally talking to someone that can speak to me in a language that I can hear. Personalities matter. We
Hmm.
talked before about your relationship with money. Now, a lot of us, our relationship with money was formed early, before age 7.
Hmm.
I will tell you, my family didn't grow up with a lot of money. I didn't grow up with a lot of money for my family. And I remember age 4 or 5 talking to my Uncle Jerry, who was the pastor of our church, because I had been hearing things around my family. And there was nobody in the family, none of my uncles, my parents, none of them had money. And I asked Uncle Jerry, I said, Uncle Jerry, how come nobody in the family has any real money? How come nobody young? And he looked at me, he's a pastor of a church. He goes, no, people have to suffer sometimes, Brian, before they can accumulate. And I never got out of my head that thought. So when I got to the place where I could afford to buy my own sneakers, I could afford to pay my rent, to buy my own cars and buy my own home, I kind of just went nuts. I never skimped. I just bought what I wanted to buy. I would buy more than one of each thing, or more than one color of the pants, or a color of the shirts. Okay, because I was immature. I went into the army when I was 17. Now, you probably don't never get a guest that has made as many financial mistakes as I have. Okay.
We've already talked about this. I'm 51, and dude, there ain't nothing nobody can say, do, or talk about done that I haven't thought about, done, or already gone through at least a couple of times.
I was in the age where I'm 56, but I went to the army when I was
Not
17.
much older than me.
Okay. And I thought, because they bring the bank right to you at the base, the credit union and all that
Right?
come right.
And they
The
do.
insurance, they bring them right on post. So you ain't got to go nowhere. They put you in the classroom. It's like forced, you know, and they give you a checkbook and you didn't know nothing about. I didn't know nothing about a check. Okay. I think the first time I learned how to write a check, I was at a counter and the girl told me how to fill it out. But I thought as long as I have checks, I got money. And when you get to the place where you study a lot, and I do, I study a lot about what do people regret? What do people remember at their aged times when they're 80s and 90s? Most people, when they're talking about their lives, they don't even talk about their 20s. They talk about before their 20s and talk about after their 20s. Why do they rarely tell stories about their 20s? It's because that's when most people mess it up. That's when most people jack up their credit. That's when most people race through life full speed into walls. They make a lot of mistakes between 20 and 30, and then they spend 30 to 40 correcting some of the dumb decisions they made financially. That's what happens with
Hmm.
most people. And I was that guy too. I made a lot of financial mistakes in my 20s, but then I got to the place where I started to mature. Let me offer you one other thing too, because you're right now entering a great time. I once heard a great talk by Dr. George Frazier, and he talked about the three most profitable decades of your life. He says the single most profitable decade of your life is between the ages of 60 and 70. He said the second most profitable decade of your life is between 50 and 60. And the
Hot damn.
yes, and the third most profitable was between 70 and 80. And he said the first
Oh, see, I don't know, because my 40s was the most money I've ever made.
well,
So
it's going to get better. My 40s
it's
is
gonna
great
get better.
too.
You know what? Yes, more, please.
Yes, it's going to get better because your first 50 years are for learning, and after 50 is for earning. And when I heard him
And
say
see,
that, I was
I like
53.
that.
Yes,
But here's the thing. How many people do you know, Brian, that give up before they're 50?
a lot. But they didn't get the counsel. But
Before, I mean, think about it.
somebody's going to hear this
Think how
talk
many people
today.
give up before they're 50?
Yeah, yeah,
I mean, I didn't start my business until I was 43.
yeah. But that's all right. You know,
But that's what I'm saying. I mean, most people wouldn't have, and I know someone who started her business in her 60s, so she's gonna love the fact of what you just said. And but also there's so many people who think if they don't start younger or do something younger, and I'm like you, I was 19 living on my own and putting myself through college, and Discover gives me a credit card.
yep. Here's some money for you, 19-year-old.
And here's two things I want people to understand. They did not at any point in time explain. I mean, they did, but their stuff was jibber jabberish. Has anyone ever read those legal things on those
Mhm.
credit cards and actually understood any of it at the age of 19 or 20? No one had taught me about it. And Discover goes and says, here's
Whoop,
$5,000
whoop.
for someone who's never had a credit card, who's on her own. I thought I had free money, okay? And I was 19 and didn't know any better,
Right.
and no one explained to me how this worked.
Yeah.
I found out real quick how it worked and that it's not free. And that's part of the problem with the society is and the reason why I started the podcast to begin with is because we don't talk about it openly. We don't talk about these mistakes we've made. We don't talk about the fact that we're not taught to do things better. You weren't taught how to write a check. They handed you a checkbook and said, "Here's your account, here's your money, you figure it out." And also weren't talked about, I didn't learn about having a relationship with money and my mindset with money until after I started my business,
Yeah.
like a year after. So I was 44 years old and I'm like, I don't know. And I fell down this rabbit hole of it. And so it's really interesting to me to hear from so many people that they've had that same concept. And one of the things that you had told me, that limiting beliefs you had, and I'd love to know how you work through this, is one of your limiting beliefs was you don't deserve wealth and abundance, which is a limiting belief a lot of us have when we don't come from money.
Right.
And I didn't come from money.
Mhm.
And the question I asked myself, who do you think you are to think you deserve to have wealth and abundance when you didn't come from it, right? What makes you think that? So how did you work through some of that? Or
I
how
had
did you
to
work through it,
I had to
period?
learn and read and study because they didn't teach it at schools. My
Nope.
parents didn't know. Their parents didn't know either. So where are you going to learn that? You're going to learn in school of not hard knocks or learn. So I started to read about it. This credit card trap and this credit trap really began after World War II. Because before then, people paid cash for stuff. Cars they bought, they saved up their money and paid cash for cars. And what they came up with was this credit thing where people can feel like they're getting the house for free, feel like they're getting the car for free, but they're going to pay the bank or the insurance company forever. Okay. They're going to pay them forever. And the credit cards, even at the department stores, it feels like you're going to get those clothes for free because you're only going to be paying a little bit per month, but you're going to pay them forever. That was the game. And they got you trapped there. So it didn't kick off good until after the 50s. And certain people learn, okay, just to stop playing that game. Stop playing that game. Stop using the credit cards. Just don't play. Okay, you're still going to finance some things.
I mean, what I recommend now is don't use them. If you can't be strategic and be smart, don't use them.
Yeah.
I use my credit cards. However, I also use them very smart
Hmm.
and very strategic. And, I don't hold anything back. I tell people all the time that sometimes in business, you have to have debt. That is
Yep.
just the way it
Hmm.
works. And as long as you are strategic about it, and as long as you're responsible about it, then it's okay. You don't beat yourself over it because I promise you there are multimillionaires that how they got to the multimillionaires is they leveraged a lot of their debt and they got into debt and used it to keep them going when they hit tough times. And that's how they then skyrocketed to the
Yep.
multimillionaire to where they didn't have to worry about the debt anymore. And anyone that tells you they don't, I'm sorry, they're lying. Unless
Debt
or they came from money.
mhm, and managing taxes. Debt and taxes are the thing.
Pay your damn taxes. Okay.
And having a tax strategy because you're going to have to
Well,
pay it.
right, have it, but
Okay.
having one and not avoiding it.
Yes. In America, it's set up that you cannot get rich without a tax strategy. I don't believe you can without a tax strategy. And rich should be the goal. So,
You see, to me, I want to be wealthy, not rich, because
okay,
to
what's your
me, you
difference?
can be
Break
rich.
it
You can,
down.
and I'm gonna tell you, being rich means you just know you can go make more money.
Okay.
Being wealthy is being wealthy in all the areas of your life,
Mhm.
which is spiritually, energetic, mental, physical, and financial. And you're doing it aligned with your values, your goals, and your desires. Meaning you're living on your terms
Mhm.
and you're being smart. And so often people have this, oh, I don't worry about money because I know I can just go make more. However, they can't tell you where their money's going.
Mhm.
They can't tell you if they're signing something, uh, they can't tell you where they're wanting their money to go, how they're giving back, how much they're giving back, how much how much is going out and where. And their concept is, I'll just go make more.
Right. I was there.
Okay, you're
Mhm.
rich, but you're still poor, in
Yeah.
my opinion.
And that
You're
was me.
still poor.
You reminded me of a very funny skit by Chris Rock. Okay. He
I
said,
love him.
he said, Shaq is rich, but the man who signs his check is wealthy. Okay. He says, rich you can lose in a summer with a drug habit. Wealth you can't get rid of. Okay? That's the difference. You know,
Because the wealth is on the inside.
yeah.
Part of it's on the inside, and that's part of deserving that wealth and that abundance. You know, even with my business hitting the shifts that it hit this year and me having to utilize debt, I still consider myself wealthy because I am living my life on my terms.
Living your best
Has my
life.
business Right. I mean, has my business hit a rough spot? Yes, but there's no business in this entire world that can say they never hit a rough year or never hit a rough spot. All businesses go through them. I've researched it, and there's not a business in anywhere that you can research that hasn't had a rough patch or a downturn in sales or whatever. It exists. That's the
It's the
reason why we're
price.
supposed
It's
to
the
be
cost of
strategic.
it. It's the cost
Right.
of it.
Which is the reason why we should be strategic and smart with our business money, saving and planning, because you don't know when those downturns are going to happen.
Amen. Do you see anybody achieving levels of success in anything? You're looking at someone who's picked themselves up after getting knocked down. That's just that.
At least a couple of times.
At least a couple of times, maybe even more. But it doesn't matter how many times. It can be 6, 7, 8, 9,
Right.
10, 11, 12, 14 times. As long as you get back up again, and try
That's what
again.
matters.
Because you only have to win the last time. That's it.
I was told that you don't lose, or excuse me, I was told the only way you lose is if you give up and you don't keep
Yeah.
going.
You either win or you learn. Okay.
Hmm.
And the only way you can lose is to quit, is to stop playing.
What that's what said. They,
Yeah.
they said the only way you lose is to just quit.
Yep. That's it.
That's the only way.
Yep.
Otherwise, it's what can you learn from it? What can I create from it?
Hmm.
And what are some of the things that salespeople and entrepreneurs in their business can do to help them as far as be able to earn the significant money and be and not make the same mistakes we've made?
Yeah. It's a question. I'll start answering that with a question. Question I would say to entrepreneurs is this, and it's a very serious question. Can you save money? Can you save money? Brian Tracy says the question is so important because if you cannot save money, and he's harsh with it, he says, but if you can't save money, the seeds of success are not in you. This is a basic thing. Now, the question of can you save money is really a question of discipline. You
Hmm.
can if you're willing to. Can you save money? That's first. You can't, you have to conquer that before anything. Again, basics before the sexy stuff. Can you save money? Save something. You have to train
And are you? I
your
was going to say, and are
brain.
you willing to? Are you willing to try? Are you willing? If you've never done it, are you willing to train your brain and start
It
trying,
has to
start
start
saving.
there.
Yeah.
Can you
Mhm.
save money? Now, Warren Buffett advises to read 10 books on it, whatever it is. If you want to start learning how to save money or invest money or to grow money, Warren Buffett says read 10 books on it. Now, the philosophy on that is you can outlearn any challenge. You can outlearn any challenge. You know, if your challenge is fitness or weight loss or saving money or investing or buying properties, read on it. Read on it. I think you and I, before when we talked, I shared with you that I was in sales, but I wasn't good at it until I discovered my first book on sales. And after I read that book, I just got another and another. And over time, I've read more than 700 books on how to sell and manage salespeople or personal development, and mostly in selling and sales management. But and that's a conservative number because some of those books I read more than one time. Like Think and Grow Rich or The Greatest Sales in the World or How to Win Friends and Influence People or The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. I read those books more than one time because they're essentials. But you can outlearn any of your challenge. I didn't know how to sell. I started reading about sales. Okay. And I became a master. You can outlearn anything. Mhm.
You just have to be willing to.
Yeah. And a mantle that I picked up was I need to learn how to produce money out of nothing. That's what I needed to learn. So many of your people who would listen to your show, Sassy Wealth, come on, Cash and Sass, who would listen? It's a woman who recognizes that she wants some sass or be sassy or be close to sassy, but she wants some wealth too. So we know the women that tune in here, they already are on the road. Okay, they
Mhm.
already are in the neighborhood, even if they're not doing it right yet. They're in the
Right.
neighborhood, because they show up. They're the only ones that would show up
Right.
for this.
Yeah, I got a few men that also tell me they know I do it for women, but that they're learning something from the podcast. They've already started changing how they're doing things. So I'm like,
And a few
yes,
good men.
because then if you have if you the men are listening, you have daughters, you're going to talk to them because that's the thing,
Yep.
right? It's power. So I'm for it reaching everybody and anybody wide. Yes, I cater to women because so often women are felt a lot more inferior to money than normally than men are. Um, and I've found that again, you didn't come from money. You have this. You came from the same mindset I came from, so it affects both of us. And we even talked about how it's generation to generation to generation.
Yep.
And so it's not because our parents didn't want to talk to us about it. It's because they didn't know any better, because their parents didn't know any better.
Yep.
And I've done the research and have shown it can go back 7 generations.
Easy.
And a lot of times, if there's any trauma in there in that 7 generations, then sometimes you don't think, I don't have a bad relationship, money. I don't think, but it's actually internal, like a trauma being held from those 7 generations that's actually stopping you. You just don't realize it because you are treating money differently or acting towards it differently. You're just not recognizing it.
Yeah. It's so when you look at it like that, when you study the generations back, okay, you probably hadn't noticed this, but I'm a black man. Okay. Can you believe that?
Oh
And
my gosh, I thought I would have never known,
what
Brian.
I'm saying. But anyway,
I would have never known.
the further you go back in generations of black people, you realize they haven't always had freedom of purchasing. And at one time they couldn't, and
Very
they had
true.
no money. But when you go forward, so when did black people get freedom of purchasing? Not in the 60s and barely in the
Nope.
70s. Okay, because
Unfortunately.
yes, because in the 70s, even Muhammad Ali, the world champion, there were still parts of cities he couldn't go to in Louisville,
Mhm.
Kentucky, where he grew up. He couldn't be uptown after night. Okay. So let's go into the mid 70s forward. Black people start getting freedom of being able to buy whatever they wanted to buy. If they wanted to buy certain clothes, they couldn't because they wouldn't sell them to them. They wanted to go to certain hotels, they couldn't. So black people, they have some psychic disrepair to overcome because it's still
Absolutely.
relatively new. We now can
Mhm.
spend money. Now, to hold on to that thought as an excuse, shame on us. Okay, we can't hold on as an excuse to not have any money. Well, we just got it. No, your parents just got it. You got to be smarter with it. And we got to be
Right.
smarter in how we teach our children. That's one of the things she said. My
Amen.
wife is a coach
Amen.
too. She works almost exclusively with women. But she says she works with
I do
women
too.
and a few good men, is how she puts it.
You know what? Not only are our names Lisa, but we both say the exact same thing.
My wife's name is Lisa as well. So this is so easy.
That's what I said. Both our names are Lisa, and we both say the exact same thing. We work primarily with women and a few good men.
Yes, that's what she says. Okay.
That's what I say too.
but
Honest to goodness, that's what I say because
um,
I have a couple of men clients, and that's what I say is I work with a few good
and I
men.
want you to further the mission of the fun of becoming
Oh yeah,
wealthy, of becoming wealthy. The
it can be
process.
fun,
That's why this cash and sass thing is so cool.
right?
It's so cool.
Well, I needed something to be candid, and I tell people in all my episodes is I want it. Nothing is off the table, and the reason why nothing is off the table is because there are so often, especially with women and some men, we think we're the only ones. We think that we're the only ones being affected, and you're absolutely right. When you made that comment, I don't think many of us realized that it wasn't until recently that blacks could have purchasing power.
Right.
It's it's beyond shameful it's unfortunate. And I do remember my mom telling me in this. I was born in the 70s. My mom had me when she was 17. So in that late 60s, right there at the early 70s, right before she had me, when they rode the bus, we rode the same bus,
Yep.
but the blacks had to sit in the back or in the
The
front or
back. It was
back,
the
yeah.
back.
And the back and the white sat in front. And mama, that was just the way it was. I remember going to school and riding the bus in the 80s and it not being that way.
Mhm.
So for me and for my generation going forward, we have a responsibility to change how we teach our children going forward about everything, including money. And that, and it doesn't matter if we're black, white, Hispanic, whatever. We have a responsibility because we weren't taught the right way, and there's a lot of things that we may not have been taught, and we're having to relearn. And like you said, if we keep going though, then it's our fault, not the generations
Yeah. The more
behind
the
us
more
fault.
you talk, the more we talk about this, it's illuminating to me how essential money management
Hmm.
is. Essential. It's a critical skill. A critical skill. I mean, there's only a few skills that are critical. The ability to read is
And this is
critical.
one of them.
You gotta have to be able
Hmm.
to, read, but you gotta be able to manage money because it affects everything. What's the number one reason for divorce? Money issues.
Money.
Okay. What's the number one reason for crime? Money or lack of money. Okay. That's what it is. Your life is better when you have money. You know, the expression, I've been rich and I've been poor, and I'll tell you, rich is better. Okay.
Hell yes. Being wealthy is so much. Look, I was on food stamps at one time. Both my girls went through the WIC program. Having money and being wealthy is so much better than being poor.
And for you,
For the
because you,
longest time, I blamed all the rich people. I blamed all the
yeah,
wealthy
which
people,
is
right? And I
unhealthy.
hated money,
Hmm.
which is very unhealthy.
Yep.
And that doesn't get you anywhere.
Right.
You have to change your mindset. You have to change how you look at it. And it's our responsibility. If we want to change that, we have to change it inside first. And then we can start making the changes. And yes, management has to be. I will go to my grave repeating this like over and over and over again. Your mindset and your money management, they go hand in hand. You can't have one without the other. And when you have a business and a personal life, if you don't know what's going on with your money, you're broke. I don't care how much money you
Whoop,
make.
whoop. If you don't know what's going on with your money, you broke. That equals
You
broke.
broke.
I want to highlight something you just said about mindset. You can't begrudge people with money because if you find other people having money as distasteful to your subconscious mind is going to conspire your world so that you don't have it. Okay, so
And so you're also going to find yourself around other people the same way.
you can only
Yeah.
allow yourself
I learned that the
to
hard
be
way.
happy for others when they succeed. You
Mhm.
can only do that because if you hate on someone that has achieved, your subconscious is not going to let you get to that level. Okay, it's not going to let you do stuff you
Mhm.
find distasteful. So you can't do that.
Mhm.
Okay.
Right. Well, and here's the thing. We create what we focus on, we create more
Yes.
of. So if we're focusing on the negativity and that scarcity mindset and
Mhm.
that hatred,
Yep.
then we're creating more of
Yep.
it. Whereas if we focus on being happy for them and what can you learn from them? What are they doing that you're not doing? Is
Then you
there
can
something
move
you could do
towards it.
differently?
Yes.
What can you work towards? And having that, I said this in so many episodes, having the gratitude for what you have and where you've come so far, and having that abundance mindset and that worthy mindset. When you start saying thank you and having the gratitude, you'll be surprised what doors open.
Yes.
It's absolutely, amazing.
The attitude of gratitude, your subconscious and your world around you conspires to bring you more of it. Whatever you're grateful
Right,
for, whatever you're willing to
right.
express, and whatever you allow to hold on to, you get moved towards that. You're so right. We're saying the same thing. Okay, I'm echoing you. Okay.
But see, some people may grasp on to you
Yeah.
like, I don't know if you noticed or not. I'm already wondering how many people are going to be watching the video on YouTube and go, well, duh, and then just start laughing.
If one person gets the message because of that,
It was worth it,
right,
right?
right, because that's what we're here for, to bless. Okay.
That's
And
right.
I'm
I
hoping someone
absolutely
gets
love
something
it.
out of this. Yes.
I hope so too. And the biggest thing I think is just to really remember that you even if you've never saved before in your life and you're like,
Mm.
I don't know what to do. You can start. And I will even give you, okay, if you've never done it, make it really simple. Okay. Just to start, open up a savings account. You can go open a free one at Capital One 360. You can get as many free ones as you want. Start with one. Okay. And just be disciplined and start small. Start with $5 a week. Be disciplined
Yes,
and
it is.
just start, because then you're going to be, oh, okay, I can do this. Now I'm going to do 10, and just be smart. The second thing, know your numbers, know what's going on. So then you can say, oh, okay, I can do this. How much can I really put in the savings? Because you're not going to know how much you can put in the savings unless you know what's going on with your money. A broken record, but it's still the same thing. So it's still part of managing your money. I don't call it a budget. I call it a money roadmap. And I call it a money roadmap because it's like a GPS. You're going to tell it where you want, it's going to tell you what expenses need to go. And you're telling it what your goals and your desires are. And you're making sure that's where your money is going. So it's a roadmap, and it's telling you how you can get to achieve that. And I just, the biggest thing I think I want anyone who's listening or watching this to get from that is just start. And I promise, it's like retraining your brain, right? And any habit, start small and keep going, and it's going to start compounding. You'll find it a lot easier. You have a free gift from my listeners. Can you please tell them about that?
Hmm, okay.
Do you remember?
Well, I got a few things I get for free. Probably the 1, 2, 3 formula.
Yes.
Okay, good. All right, so good. I'm gonna give that to your listeners. Thank you for having me on here. Let me tell you about this gift
Of course.
that you're getting. It's called the 1, 2, 3 formula. If someone said to you, "What do you do for a living?" What are you gonna say? But some people just being asked that question, they shudder. Oh, because they hate to ask that
I,
question.
I,
What?
I think I remember. This is what you and I went through when we talked the first time,
Yep,
right?
yep.
Okay. This is y'all. Y'all need to do this. This is really good.
Oh my goodness. So I have 4 questions that I ask people. And I did that with my friend Lisa Marie, and she did great. And then I repeated back what she did, but I did it in a story format. And she thought it was great, and she invited me to her podcast. The 1, 2, 3 formula is a free ebook teaching you how to answer the question of what do you do for a living without sounding salesy and without sounding pitchy. I eschew those words. I don't like the word pitch or deal, none of that stuff. I teach my clients, I'm a sales coach. I teach my clients to never pitch, but tell your story, because your money is in your story. That's where your money is. Your money is in your story. That's where it is. So to get the 1, 2, 3 formula, did I ever send you the link for it?
You
Okay,
did. I've
good.
got the link. The link will be in the show
Okay,
notes.
good. Good. And I encourage you to do that. If you get that 1, 2, 3
Yeah.
formula, first off, you'll thank Lisa for making it available to you, because it's really good. So,
It is. It's really good. And I've been in business for almost 8 years, and it helped me. So, I mean, it's really, really good because it gives you a different way of looking at how you tell people what you do for a living,
Mhm.
right? And I think that's just really important because I don't like sounding salesy and sleazy, and because I don't like sounding salesy or sleazy, I end up mangling my words. I guess is
Yeah.
a better way to say
Try
it.
to
And
tell
doing that
people,
formula actually helped.
yes. When someone asks you, what do you do? If you attempt to give a cute answer, well, I'm in the happiness business, or I'm in the people business, which you've heard before, or if you give an overly descriptive answer. Well, this is what I do. I do this, this, and this, so that they can do this, this, and this. Both of those are fine, but neither one of them compels or sells. Cute doesn't compel or sell. Describing it doesn't compel or sell. But what does compel is the agreed upon problem that is solved by your
Mhm.
services. And the 1, 2, 3 formula teaches you how to get that out and get agreement, and teach you how to answer the question of what do you do in a story format in less than 30 seconds. And you will feel more confident. Yep.
I love it. I thank you so much again for being on the show. I truly appreciate it. My sassy listener, I hope the one thing you're getting out of this is okay, even if I've never saved before, I can start. We're both living proof that we didn't come from money
Mhm.
and we're now wealthy. And so it's possible. And that's really, truly what I want you to get out of this. Thank you again, Brian. I am so tickled I got you to be a guest on my show. And remember, my sassy friend, until next time, stay sassy. Bye. Thanks for joining us this week on Cash and Sass. Check us out on social media and on our website at www.thesassywealthcoach.com, where you can download my free Money Story Start Guide. The website again is www.thesassywealthcoach.com. And as always, subscribe to the show to catch every new episode and leave us a review so we can continue to bring you fresh content. And remember, yes, it is possible to have sassy and sexy money. See you next week.